So what's this cycle that everyone keeps talking about? I keep saying cycle, cycle. We're going to have a cycle, okay? And it's really important. This is how we actually keep our models and our data moving forward. Because if we don't have a cyclical nature to it and we don't plan for that continual improvement and growth, your solution becomes stale and people stop using it. Other tactical solutions come to play. You need to make your strategic data reporting platform actually be agile and able to evolve and adapt and progress. Otherwise, you risk failure. So you want to be a Power BI developer. We can see it cross highlights, fact and dimension. The visual calculations. So we've got time intelligence within there. Let's just get right down to it. Let's start simple. I thought we'd have a look at this, okay? This is something we need to see. Now, we've mentioned VPAX Analyzer in terms of what we need to do with data and how data is pushed through into our business. And this is one of those things where we don't really often talk about the realities of looking at it. We talked about it as a documentation aid where we can go to the DAX expressions and we've got all our DAX expressions documented. We've got things like all our column data types. We've got everything that we need to understand here. But we never really talked much about, well, what does it actually mean when I'm going through and saying, right, we're going to do an update or upgrade our data model? What am I doing? Now, there's going to be part of this, which is where I've had a request for, I would love to be able to do something. Okay, and I know there's a thing that we've got in here, and I might try and see if I can show you it, where something that worked in the Jesmond Dean when it was just one event, it kind of broke when I tried to bring it through to multiples, or it didn't really break. It just, like the way the measures were calculated, it was just really slow. So it's on my list I need to revisit and fix that. The eagle eye, like, oh, I noticed that already. But, we can see. We can have a look at that. Actually, let's try and have a look at it now, shall we? So that was me. I need to fix it. It is fixable. I just need to think through the right way and engage and have the hour or so that it'll take to do it. And it's one of those. I'm busy. So anyway, what do we need to do with this? So what I start with is saying, right, this here is our tables. Okay, so we've got the tables and actually the structures that are going through in VPAX Analyzer files. This is VPAX Analyzer file. You click that, enable content, otherwise, okay. And we get, here is all the information about our table or our tables. Now, the thing that you want, so cardinality is in terms of, well, what kind of difference is there across the, like, kind of uniqueness that you've got? And because uniqueness is bad, uniqueness will obviously impact on terms of your compression algorithms and how well Power BI is able to compress the data. So you can look at this and see, well, in terms of the size of our tables. And what we can see is we've got our participation, which is our fact table. So that's where people and events come together. So Ross ran this event on this day, comes together for it. And we can see this has got a total size of 6 megabytes. Based on where it is now, okay? Versus our people table, which is like the information about each individual person, which has got what, a quarter, less than a quarter of the data here. So we've got, what, 351,000 rows, and we've got nearly 50,000 rows, and it's only 2/3 of this, and it's 2/3 the size. So this is where we talk about the star schema. This is the rubber meets the road with that star schema stuff. Our calendar table, which doesn't have many rows, is huge, but that's because it's got lots of bits around to try and help make it easier to do it. Again, for our stuff, we could probably cut it back down. We don't need all the rows that are here. There's some things that I should really do and tweak to just make it work better with this report, okay? But we've got that information. Now, the thing that I always say to people when they're saying, well, what should we look at? Is we look at things like, what's your database size, okay? And what you will find is if you find a dimension table that's most of the model size, potentially that's a place to target. But you can see here, okay, we've got this, we've got this. These are the two things that are our biggest. These 3 tables are effectively taking up what? That's going to be what, nearly 70% of the total size, isn't it? So that's huge. That's more than 70%, isn't it? That's 90%. Okay, so, these 3 tables are taking up most of what you're going to do. And what are those 3? People, events, participation, and people. people events. I'm thinking now, I'm trying to work out what people events are. So we can work through and go, well, we need to do that. I'm just thinking people events. What do we need to do with that? We can check. So then obviously we see this has happened at the table side. The next thing that I would always say is go to the column level side, because what you then find, if we look at the same thing with the columns, is it's actually the vast majority of it is going to be in these 4 columns up here, which are 3 of them are parkrun IDs. So it's the ID reference number of the person going through, and the other one is their name. So these are fields that we're kind of stuck with based on the model we've got. But you might go in here, and one of the things that you'll find as well, if you really are, if you're not sure. So, we talk about auto date time. If you haven't got it ticked and your data model's pushed all these date time tables in, you'll see them all listed in here on the left-hand side here. And you just see they really just bloat your model out. The impact is huge. This is a great way, as we can see. This model's not too terrible. I mean, obviously, I've seen some real humdingers in my time, but you find out, right, key areas, where do we need to look? Before doing anything in terms of, I'm going to do an update cycle on a report, have a look at this first. Always advisable. If we go through and we have a look, see, in Power BI, we can see here, so we've got, this is our participation. So we've got this information in here, and there are things that we would look at and see, well, what can we do? So we've got, for example, category, which actually has the gender in, so we could presumably get rid of gender. It's not a huge table or impact on here. We've got the notes, which I do need to tweak. I'm potentially looking at if we made those a numeric, that might help. PB is wrong. It's just a regular run. It shouldn't be PB. I think that's just the way it comes through. And then we get through. So we've got this event key. So I think this people events is the event key, isn't it? Where we've got, which is what we need to link everything back through together. We then presumably don't need the URL. I think that's in there from laziness, just to make it all work. If we have a look at the people and events, yeah, so we've got a parkrun ID, we've just got the number, we've got the event one. Okay, so this is an individual record for somebody in their event. So let me see if I can remember my parkrun ID. I should check it, it's just here. So here's mine, so we can see my record across the different events. I've done 3 of the events and how I've performed across them. So this is what this table's built up for. So it's kind of that summary table. It avoids us having to go and calculate these dynamically. Now, we could calculate them dynamically, but looking at the impact on it, does it cause a huge issue? And then when you think, well, actually what we're doing is we're going through and getting for each event that we have a record for, here, how many times did they run it? What was their quickest time? What was their slowest time? CP. So yeah, their cheater position, tortoise position, so they're quicker, their first place, their last place, so actually how they've done. And then obviously you've got things like their turtle grade and their cheater grade, so actually quickest age grade and their slowest. So there's actually a lot of information there, which is kind of nice to have. And it's, again, we pre-calculate it, so we don't need to calculate it elsewhere. In terms of the realities, this would come down to how often is it going to be used. And we could then look through the report pack and see, is this regularly used, is it not? It's one I think we don't necessarily need, but it's one I've left in for now because I haven't thought through the best way to go with it yet. But yeah, it's there. It might be removed. And as I say, we saw this is taking up 20% of our database space. So if our model was getting too big, we could say, well, this is, are we getting value from this table? Or is it just a case that it's a nice aggregation table that isn't really doing much else? So you can see, going in and doing a deep dive look into what's going on with your models and with your stuff is important. But you need to take the time and think about, what are we doing? And there's going to be requests for, I want to add this, I want to change that, I want to change that. There's going to be requests where you've looked and actually done the analysis to see, well, this is an issue that we need to fix. And at some point you need to then sit down and have that meeting and say, well, we can do 4 or 5 of these. We've got 2 days, or we've got 10 days of consultancy, we've got support time, whatever it is you're using, be it consultancy, be it your internal resources, you've kind of got a finite amount of time. Those are the things to go through and work out what the plans are. And that's how you do it. You go to VPAX, you look at the VertiPack Analyzer side, you see, identify issue here, issue there. One of the things that we didn't talk about was that there were RI integrity issues. So we had 6 rows of data potentially that caused problems. Again, 6 rows when you've got over 200,000, well, you've got 300,000 events that have taken, or run events in the fact table that have taken place. Yeah, diminishing returns, it's worth having a look at some point, but it's one where you kind of go, okay, we can prioritize working out what our challenges are. We can work through it all, but it's take the time, understand it, and again, be more data driven. If you like what you've seen, don't forget, get in touch with Geordie Consulting, arrange the initial consultation call, and they'll start taking your business and your data usage to the next level. For now though, stay safe, take care, ta-da.